telling a story that you may not have even known about. Scott Sabol is joining us. He's an author, ladies and gentlemen. He's a meteorologist here to talk about a new book you wrote.
It is a little weird to be on this receiving end of an interview.
Imagine.
You know, usually I'm the one doing the talking.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely wrote a book, Todd. Yeah.
So this is basically your dad's Vietnam story.
Correct.
Correct. And you have heard this in parts over the years as you grew up.
Right.
But in short snippets.
Short snippets. Yeah. It would be like 20, 30-second snippets growing up, and then we'd move on to something else. And when you're a kid, you don't really process all this because you don't know the history behind Vietnam and that era. Yeah. But as I got older, it's like, wait a minute, there's more to this story. And then life goes on, and about 7-8 years ago, my sister went on Facebook and was looking for, hey, maybe there's a Facebook page of the 34th Engineering Battalion, which my dad was a part of, at Ben Nye Air Base, near Ben Nye Air Base. And sure enough, she found it. And she typed in, hey, you know, Rich Sabol, my dad, Richard Sabol. Hey, there's a picture of my dad from back then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we remember him. And so she made contact with a lot of people on that Facebook page and then told my dad. But this kind of opened up the floodgates for a lot of memories, a lot of not so good memories. Sure. So my dad was going through and still is a lot of PTSD. Here we are 55 plus years later. Wow. But as he was doing this, the stories became longer and more detailed, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, why don't we get some of this stuff on paper? Mm-hmm. The Vietnam generation is kind of a lost generation. You know, a lot of these men and women came home in the 60s, early 70s, and they were thrown right back into society, and their stories were lost. And so a lot of them, as they get older, they're starting to share their stories, and I figured this would be a great way to get a lot of this on paper, but it was mainly just family at first. Yeah. I didn't think I'd have enough information to write a book. That wasn't even on the radar, no pun intended.
You just want to save a few stories for the family.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. So that was a couple of years ago when this process started.
And now you have a whole book. You self-published it because you figure, well,
right,
and I might as well do something with it and share the stories outside of our family.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. So the process started. My dad reluctantly sat down. I interviewed him for 3 hours. Yeah. And then I went through, I transcribed all of it, kind of add the who, what, where, when, and why, interviewed him again. And then when you transcribe that much information, I'm like, wow, how much, there were pages of information here. And after that, I gave it to a lot of Vietnam veterans. They were reading this, and their stories kind of paralleled a lot of what my dad is going through now and what they went through when they were in Vietnam at various stages. And so they kind of said, you know what, why don't you self-publish this? These stories need to get out there. A lot of other Vietnam veterans had self-published their story just to get the stories out there so they could be documented because they're not getting any younger. And so I kind of mentioned this to my dad, and he kind of gave me some pictures. I had a few pictures. My family had some pictures. So fast forward over the months and months and months, you know, you accumulate all this information, and now in my head I'm storyboarding this idea for a book. Yeah. You know, taking all this information and creating kind of a narrative of what happened before he was drafted, when he was drafted in Vietnam, what happened after. But part of the story revolves around my dad being drafted while he was in school. And when you were in college, you weren't supposed to be drafted. Right. So the quick story is my dad went to downtown Cleveland, and of course he submitted all the paperwork to get the draft, to say, hey, look, you guys made a mistake. But the paperwork took forever to get through. He goes down, takes the oath. At that point, you're done. Yeah. Calls my grandmother. She says the paperwork came in the mail that afternoon.
Just by a matter of hours, he missed it.
By a matter of hours, he missed it. So that kind of set the stage for the next couple of years with him being in the service.
What did you learn about your dad and that time period?
It was, you know what it was? It was learning about my dad, but learning it through my framework, me. Yeah. Because I would think to myself, if I was 20 years old and I was in that situation, how would I react to it? And I can't even imagine some of the stuff that he saw, the people that he served with.
Being told to jump out of a plane and then being shot at.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, he, just being put in situations where you're sleeping on the ground for 3 months, you don't have a cot. Yeah. You know, just being put in situations that you shouldn't have been in, but being able to survive in extraordinary circumstances. And that's what my dad wanted to get out of this. You know, he doesn't have fond memories of Vietnam, right, but he wants people to know I was able to survive along with my other brothers and other men and women over there under harsh circumstances, and here we are living to tell the tale.
And the good thing about this, all the proceeds are going to a local organization.
Medina County Veterans Memorial Foundation, all the proceeds. That was the whole idea. I said, Dad, if we're going to write a book, let's donate all the proceeds. Yeah. He said, that's fantastic. So we have the book here. You can check it. I think we do have a link at fox8.com.
Absolutely.
It's self-published on Amazon. You can check it out. You can buy the book, and all the proceeds, again, go to the Medina County Veterans Memorial Foundation.
And it's called From Brook Park to Benoit, of course, Brook Park,
Yeah,
where
my
your dad
dad.
grew up.
Yeah, on Harrison, right? Where
Down the street from my grandmother.
Exactly, exactly. So, there's a whole bunch of stories in there, a lot of neat pictures, and it was fun to put together. Again, you learn a lot about your dad, but you learn a lot about yourself in the process.
And how you would be able to relate to that.
Correct.
So that's
Correct.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Congrats on the book.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
very,
it, Todd.
very cool.
Yeah.
All right, 7:51, your time right now, and we're going to have Stacy pick it up from there.
Time right now. Thank you very much. Time right now is 7:51.